Good morning, everyone. This is too short for me. So I think we have most of the people in. I was thinking how to start this speech, and I realized that I would not like to have it formal, because everything that we did for this event, for this collaboration, we did with so much friendliness, with so much enthusiasm, and we never kept it formal for us. We always kept it nice surrounding, and this is what we also want to have today. Of course, Louise will give you the formal welcome to the conference, but before we start, I would also like to have some housekeeping and rules, so we have the most pleasant atmosphere possible. So when it comes to the timing, we will try our best to keep it up to the schedule. So I also encourage our speakers, our discussants and panelists. I know that you are quite enthusiastic about the topics, but please keep it as we agreed in time. Also, when it comes to agenda, if something happens, we can be a bit flexible, but still we would like to keep it up to the schedule. We will showcase the agenda several times, and you can also have the QR code to scan and go directly to the agenda, or just visit iptf.eu and the agenda is there. You also have signed up the registration sheet, the attendance sheet. If you have not done so, please do that at the coffee breaks. There is also the consent form for the usage of your personal data and how we keep it, but also the use of video recordings and images for our communication dissemination purposes. Of course, coffee, tea breaks, I see that you already have refreshed yourselves, so please, during coffee breaks as well, feel free to do so. We have last two things is the fire hazard, and in case of any emergency, please follow the exit signs. I only expect that we have fire discussions, not... So only fire discussions, nothing else. And of course, the restrooms are on the left side. We also have Wi-Fi here. It's a bit small, but yes, Wi-Fi network is hello@shu, and the password is guest event, so in case someone needs to connect. So without any further ado, I would like us really to keep this quite open, quite enthusiastic, and to have an impactful event with really, really nice insights for all of us. So I would like to ask Louise to join me on the stage and give us a formal welcome.
Thank you very much, Danielle, and it's so good to be here and so good to see you all here. We've been working on this for quite a few months, and it's been a very great team, and it's been a growing team over those months. So the Innovation Procurement Task Force is the host of this event, and this is a consortium of, I think we're up to 6 or 7. Where's Letty? Where's Letty? Okay, 6 or 7 innovation procurement initiatives and innovation procurement projects which are co-hosting this event. And the event began because 3 projects, of which PROCEDIN, which I lead, is one of them, are approaching their end in September. The IPTF was in its early stages. We were all thinking about what we might do for our final event. And we could each have done something separately. And we thought we'd do something together. And then we got more and more ambitious about what today would be about. And what we wanted to do today is not just look at building capacity for innovation procurement, which is our brief for the 3 core projects, but to think about the thing that is troubling us all, which is how can we scale up the capabilities, how can we increase the momentum, and how can we reach the procurement contracting bodies which are not doing innovation procurement? How can we help suppliers better to build up a stronger ecosystem on the supply side? So it's that scaling up question that we really want to work on today. What are the factors that help, and how can we amplify those? What are the factors that hinder, and what can we actually do to start to address those more closely? I'm really looking at an ecosystem level as well. So we've got multiple levels of parties here today. We've got several colleagues from the European Commission. We've got people from national and regional government, from ministries, from municipalities, from the hospital and healthcare sector, and Ministry of Defence. So thank you for adding that to the cities and the healthcare sector. We also have a security perspective. So we want to think about scaling up today, and we're also very keen to think about what we can learn across sectors, because most of the projects stick to a sector, and yet we probably have more in common than divides us. So what are those things that we can learn about scaling up? And the other big theme is interaction and learning together, and you'll see that on several slides. I'll come back to the exact program for the day. But we need to make the most of the discussions today. There's lots of possibilities, this great mix of people, and we want to use that in order to learn together better. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Silvi, our project officer for all 3 projects, and some new projects that are coming up soon in the same vein. Danielle, could you pass a microphone?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you. I would like to thank Louise for inviting me to this final event. In fact, this is a final event of 3 of my projects. I'm Silvi Serreqi. I work with SMEs. I work with Vasilis, who's a colleague of mine. I work with the unit of European Innovation Ecosystem. And in fact, the 3 projects stem from a Horizon Europe call, grants. And we have built another project that I'm managing, and also Inno Facilitator, right? Hi, good morning. I'm very glad to be here with you because it's the first occasion for me to meet all of you, because with the hybrid world, we never actually meet, but we meet virtually very much. We have been in contact with the 3 projects virtually. We have had project meetings several times, so I've been in contact with the 3 projects. I'm glad because from our perspective of the European Commission, we really are happy to see that the 3 projects are having a final event together. Those type of initiatives are very welcome because they streamline our efforts. And since the 3 projects stem from the same call, for us it's very important to see that they do work together. And going back to the main keyword that Louise mentioned, so scaling up, this is the best way to scale up projects. And they meet, they have final events, they have common opportunities and common challenges, and from that they find opportunities how to go forward and to follow up those projects. Of course, we from our side, we understand the need for innovation procurement, so we understand that we will need to continue financing those type of projects and give more funding because this is needed from the territory. So I hope to see many other projects in this field, and I'm really glad to be here with you and to learn from you and to hear from you feedback from those projects, from other projects, and so that we can discuss with the Commission how to translate those into policy.
So next, I'd just like to tell you a little bit more about how we've structured the day. You may have had a few moments to look at the schedule on our website, which is going to be kept up to date. So if we have some significant changes to the schedule during the course of the day, we'll post it there. But we have 3 parts, each of which are centered around this idea of interaction and learning, but each of which takes a very different approach. So we have scaling up innovation procurement from a policy perspective. Then we focus on capacity building, and then we move into collective working and a sort of learning lab environment. So in part 1, the chair is Robert Miskoff, who is the Build Project Coordinator, Chief Executive of Pedal Consulting, and also the chair of IPTF. So he will also have a chance to introduce the Innovation Procurement Task Force, and then he will explain to you the structure of part 1. Which is in 2 parts, and there's coffee in between. So just to energize you with a bit of caffeine, and then we'll go to the second part of it. After lunch, we will have a session chaired by Jorge Gonzalez. who is involved in so many projects, I couldn't possibly remember the different names for them, but I know he is in TIC Biomed. So thank you, Jorge. And for that, it will be some discussion, and then it will be short presentations from each of the 3 projects, whose finishing and closing event this is, and then more discussion, because we want to hear from you about what you see as the needs for capacity building. And then the third part is where we go into World Cafe mode, and this will be chaired by one of the partners from Health Inno Facilitator, Michela Calabro, who is there. Thank you. And Michela is also the person who helped us organize this wonderful venue. He's been our contact with the venue managers and the AV people and the catering people and so on. So thank you very much for that, because it was super good. And his colleagues. My apologies for Marco and the others, but thank you, Michela. And then what we've done, and if you look around on your tables, you will see some persona cards, we've called them. It's quite a long document. We're not expecting you to read it all, but we each come from different parts of the innovation ecosystem, and it's very easy to put on our own hats and put on our own spectacles and look at the world just from our point of view. And what we wanted to do is to help bring out that broader perspective and to put ourselves in the shoes of other actors in the ecosystem. So we developed, further developed something that we've been using in the PROCEDIN project to develop these sort of characters, these persona profiles, who represent innovation demand, innovation supply, different actors in the ecosystem. You can either read it through the QR code or you have the hard copy in front of you. And in part 2, in particular, we'd like you to use those as a source of inspiration, if you need further inspiration, maybe you don't, for the discussions in part 2. Before I go to that, I also wanted to mention the golden nuggets, because we don't have that in a slide, do we? Is now my moment? We do? Pardon? Okay. I keep wanting to walk away. In my lecture, I walk all over the lecture room, and now I have to stand here. Sorry, I'm not used to it. We have, all the people involved in organising this conference have access to a file online, which we are going to type in the key insights. We've called them the golden nuggets, not the chicken nuggets. If you have something that you've picked up, some inspiration, some ideas, something fresh, novel, or even something important has been reinforced because you know this matters to other people in other sectors as well, anything that you think is a little sort of gem of insight, we want to collate those in our notes, because we'll be producing a report afterwards. So if you have something, a shareable insight like that, scribble it down on a post-it note. We'll put some post-it notes on the table soon. Or just pass it on to one of the people who's an IPTF organizer. Could all the IPTF organizers stand up? Yes. And there's others. Lubov, Yaron, come on. Anyone who's been involved in this, there you go. So there's a lot of us here. Please share any of those shareable knowledges with us, and we will put them into the shared document. But interaction. So what we'd like is at the tables you're at, and I think maybe you want to move to another table. Yes, otherwise it's just you and me on that table. Please, we'll take 5 minutes. Introduce yourselves, have a quick chat, talk about why you're here, what you hope to get from it, what you think you can bring. Let's just go. In 5 minutes, we will go back to the agenda. Please. Okay, so hopefully you've made some new contacts for the day, and that will also oil the whole process of the interaction and co-learning that we want. Don't forget to share your insights with us so we can post them into our shared document. They can be anonymous if you prefer, and if you want to say, give your name, that's great. We were in such a hurry to kick off that we didn't introduce ourselves properly, did we? So before I introduce our first keynote, I'm Louise Knight. I'm Professor of Public Sector and Healthcare Procurement at the University of Twente, which is in the east of the Netherlands, and also coordinator for the PROCEDIN project.
And my name is Danijel Pavlica, here on behalf of F-Success, the world's largest startup community, where we help founders to grow. And yes, happy also to be here.
And F-Success are great project managers pleasure. So thank you very much to SXS and all your team for bringing this event together, along with a big team of a group of others. So it's my pleasure next to invite our first keynote speaker to the podium. And Schrijvers is going to talk about her experiences with the government of Flanders. Anne holds a PhD in political science, European Union politics. She worked initially at the University of Ghent as a researcher and an educator, and then she switched into Flemish science and innovation policy in 2011. First working at the Flemish Council for Science and Innovation, and then now with her current organisation, the Flemish Advisory Council for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, known as Vlaio. And then in 2017, she joined the Programme for Innovation Procurement, which is sometimes known as PIO, sometimes as PIP. 1 year after that programme was launched. And this programme is about how the government of Flanders can use its 30 billion per year spending power to stimulate public sector organisations to strategically use their purchasing power as a catalyst for innovation, so 30 billion. And then in 8 years, that programme has established over 100 innovation procurement projects across many different sectors and fields. And since May, Anne is the PIP's programme manager. So she is here to share her experiences with that programme to talk about scaling up innovation procurement. Please. You don't need a clicker?
No.
Sorry. That's what I should do.
Is this okay? Okay. Good morning to all of you. Thank you, Louisa, for the very kind introduction. And thank you for inviting me here. And I think that this kind of events should be organized even more in order to put innovation procurement higher on the political agenda. I think late March when we met, we organized ourselves a conference together with our colleagues here present, Vasilis, of the European Commission within the Belgian EU presidency framework. And, well, basically we organized that conference to urge all politicians on the European level to pay much more attention to innovation procurement, which is, after all, still a far too often forgotten instrument that can stimulate innovation, not only in the public sector, but also in the private sector. During that conference, we did not grasp the opportunity to present our own program, so I'm very happy that Louisa asked me to do so here. So I will briefly introduce you in how we set up the program in Flanders. What was the philosophy we used? And I think perhaps the things I will mention here are quite evident, so you won't hear, I think, nothing new. But I do want to repeat them here again because they are far too often forgotten when policy makers are making policy. So when we started the program 7-8 years ago, there was one good thing. There had already been a previous program stimulating innovation procurement, but it ran, I think, from 2008 till 2013. But it failed and it was quickly stopped. It shared the mission of innovation procurement, but it used the wrong approach and results were lacking, and that's why it was stopped. So we could learn from this experience, and whereas the previous program used this kind of top-down approach, giving money and resources to all administrations in Flanders and urging them and kind of forcing them to buy innovative solutions with this money, it didn't work, basically, the top-down approach, because it stressed out the administrations. They were thinking, oh no, now we have to do something. We have to find a need, and we have to find a need to innovate. So we use now a bottom-up approach. Basically, we launch calls every year, and there are 2 deadlines, and we invite all public sector organizations in Flanders, local, provincial, regional, central, poor, rich, whatever kind of public sector organization, we invite them to send in their problems, challenges, for which they do not see an immediate solution on the market yet. It's a very open call. As Louisa mentioned, we are open to all kinds of problems. There is no thematic focus. if there is just a problem for which there is not yet a solution available. That's our main focus. So that means that we now have a portfolio of more than 100 projects on really concrete challenges. So we developed, for example, sports textile for our top athletes in the Olympic Games in Tokyo. We also equipped lockades with sensors in order to come to some structural health monitoring of lockades. We use satellite data to monitor bridges and to prevent them from breaking down, as was the case in Italy. So we have all kinds of concrete questions of our public officer, and we work together with him to find a solution on the market. So basically, if you read the book of Mazzucato, the approach we use is the approach of picking the willing. Do not try to convince the disbelievers, but pick the ones and target the ones who have a shared goal, who feel the need to innovate, who see opportunities for innovation. So that's our approach. Then we're open to all challenges, all kinds of problems, and that is synonym for we always use a need-driven approach. There should be a need within a public sector. And I think this is a very important thing in innovation. Innovation is about creating value, value for a concrete person, for a concrete civil servant, for a citizen. So creating value means that you should take into account a need, and you should start from a need. I mean, it's much more difficult to commercialize a non-need driven innovation. It's possible, I do not say that, but it's easier. If one municipality has a concrete challenge, you find a solution. This solution can easily be, well, scaled or commercialized for the company on all municipalities in Flanders. Then, very important and very often forgotten, keep it as simple as possible. Cut all the red tape. Make a very easy onboarding procedure. So basically, if we launch these calls, and public sector organizations, they have to fill in an application form. It consists of 5 basic, really plain questions. Most basic questions you should raise yourself as being a public buyer. What do you want to buy? Where do you think you can buy it? Well, in this case, where do you think you cannot buy it because it's not yet available? And why do you want to buy it? And what kind of means, what kind of resources? So the basic question. So the onboarding procedure for our program is really very, well, how do you say that? It's very easy accessible. You're trying to convince public officers to do things that they do not do spontaneously. So please keep the threshold as low as possible. Even more important, and perhaps, well, it's difficult, I know that the Commission always makes this clear distinction between pre-commercial, PCP, PPI. My first PowerPoints were also trying to explain to people what is PCP, what is PPI. We saw it doesn't work. It's too complex for an average civil servant working in one of the towns of Belgium. So we just said, no, it's not important anymore. As long as they can demonstrate that innovation is within the project, there is some insecurity, there is some risk, a risk of failure. They have a lot of questions, they raise themselves and they cannot find the answer. As long as innovation, the potential innovation, is demonstrated within the application, we can help them. So basically, we cover projects with all kinds of TRL levels. We are open to like the low TRL levels, but most of our projects, they cover like higher TRL levels. Why? Because we see that an average administration in Belgium is not really willing, they lack the capacity, they lack the resources to embark on such a long, very intensive PCP procedure with a very insecure outcome. They prefer, I mean, they have real tangible needs, challenges, multiple challenges, for which they want a solution as soon as possible. So the majority of our projects, it's about piloting, validating new partial solutions in new contexts, with new end users, with etc. So don't make it too difficult. I mean, the previous program focused only on these PCP projects. And, well, it didn't get any traction because it was seen as far too difficult. Then I think, main question, well, instead of training public officers, our approach was let's just do it ourselves. Let's just roll up our sleeves, put on our boots, and go into these procurement trajectories together with the procuring authorities. So basically, we offer them end-to-end assistance in each step of the procurement trajectory. We're in this together with them, we guide them, we give them advice, we help them, well, we do not really draft the tender specifications, but we help them to choose the correct procedure, etc. And this is really much, much, much appreciated, because we see in Flanders that definitely in smaller villages and in smaller administrations on the center level, the capacity to procure in a professional way is just lacking, or is just, I mean, it's very low. So they are really very happy with the help and the assistance we offer. And the good thing is of this doing it yourself approach and learning by doing is that we ourselves, our team, we are only 6 FTEs, we become experienced and really on an operational level, and we get this experience, and afterwards we can share these learnings, but also, and even more important, all these public authorities, they also become experienced. They gain the first experience with doing things differently as they are used to do. So it's very, I think, important, because they might consider future innovation procurement because they already once experienced one. They went through one as well. Then, last but not least, besides the brain power, the advice we offer to all these contracting authorities, we also have a budget. It's not a big budget, but we also offer co-financing to the public authorities. So we co-finance the finally awarded contracts, and up to 50%. And why do we do that? Innovation, it's not always about success. It's about many, many failures. It can go wrong. You can end up with a solution that does not match your needs. So it's a way to compensate for the risks taken by the public authorities. It's also a way to compensate, I think, for the substantial first mover costs, transaction costs. At the cost of procurement, not of the contract, but the in-kind, well, all the things you have to do, you have to carry out to come to a successful procurement. Important to mention here, we do not go beyond the 50%. So compared to other programs, well, it's not, well, 50% of the contract. I mean, it's a contract of 1 million, we give 1 million. But it was a conscious decision, because we believe that if you go further and you finance the whole procurement, including covering costs of civil servants and project managers, then you might lose, let's say, the commitment to drive the engagement. And we believe that innovation procurement is really about cooperation between public and private. So also the public side really has to be dedicated and committed to finding together with the private partner a solution. A lot of knowledge sharing is happening there. And then I think I'm doing fine? Okay. Okay, thank you. I think I have many more suggestions, or let's say it's commandments or good tips to offer to you when it comes to the concrete handling of concrete innovation procurement, but I saw that that is basically the program of this afternoon. So basically our philosophy to perform all these, to run through these trajectories is quite simple. It's all about the people. It's not about the procedures. It's about knowing the needs, checking the needs with the market, etc., etc. But I think we will have more time this afternoon to discuss that more in detail. What I just wanted to say is just how we set up the policy. So we used a bottom-up approach, a need-driven approach. We picked kind of the willing, and we did like this do-it-yourself approach. And of course, I hear you thinking, it's an approach, but it also has its downsides. It has its advantages, but also the disadvantages. And now, with the experience of 7 years, I think we should also consider to organize in the future this kind of more supply-driven activities, matchmakings, because we see that many public officers in Belgium, they are not aware of the possibilities the market has on offer. And if you do not know what is available, well, I mean, demand, supply, they co-define each other. So we are thinking of this kind of matchmaking activities to bring, how do you say that, the milk to the cat? Or is it the cat to the milk, or whatever, so that public officers get inspired by the supply side and how technologies perhaps may well, inspire them to new needs. Second, and very important to mention here, this do-it-ourselves approach, we do not mean that training officers is not important. And I mean, it is very important. We see there is really a lack of capacity, and we will definitely urge our politicians to invest more in, well, in all kinds of trainings to professionalize, I think, the public buyers. And last but not least, and I think very important, picking the willing. I think it's, for us, it's the correct approach. But how shall we convince, I think that's the topic of today, how shall we convince the non-believers? I mean, we're a small program. We have now 105 projects, but that are just islands of excellence. We plant seeds. Public sector in Flanders is huge. So how will we be able to not only convince the already convinced ones, but also convince the unconvinced ones? And I think that for that we should consider more kind of, again, introducing top-down incentives. In what form? Well, it's hard to say, but I think some more political backing might do the trick and, well, complement the bottom-up approach. And that's why, you know, we had elections here, new governments are in the making. We'll see how long this will last this time. Perhaps it goes very quickly. But anyway, we will try to push innovation procurement more on the political agenda, as we believe that in the upcoming times, and in Belgium, it may become times with very scarce public resources. I don't know how other countries are doing, but we are in bad financial weather, let's say. And especially, I think, in these times of scarce resources, we might need to shift a little bit away from the subsidies, because Belgium is a key champion in granting subsidies to enterprise and making kind of grant-entrepreneurs. And we need to shift perhaps a little bit away from the subsidies and invest more in innovation procurement, as the first customer experience for companies is really, I mean, it's a much bigger importance sometimes than just having another grant to invest in research and development. And I think this is more or less within the time. Okay. If there is time, I can answer questions, but I'm not sure. I'm really aware of that. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to get a mic. So, thank you.
If someone has a question, please raise your hand. I will bring you the microphone.
You mentioned that you give them 50%. What was the total amount, the maximum amount that you grant them?
Well, I think in our manual it is written down that we can go up to 1 million co-financing, so project of 2 million, and we take half. But in the fact we already have projects that go up to 6-8 million, and we co-finance, important to mention, only what you would call the innovative parts. So when maintenance is also within the contract, we do not co-finance maintenance. We do not co-finance that, or only for 1 or 2 years, the testing years. But we already went up to 2.5 million of co-finance.
Only?
For one project. Huh?
No, I'm saying that you're very lucky of having such a budget. No, I was. No, it's good. It's good. It's very good. A lot of money. That's what I was
But
trying to
this
say.
being said, we get a criticism from other, colleagues that basically, I mean, the PIP, it's already, it's good, good, good. It's a success, but they say we lack the scale, which is true, because it's only, I mean, compared to the amount of subsidies, it's it's, yeah, we are, how do you say, that's a calimero. It's peanuts quite, yeah.
Okay.
But I think for the other contracting authorities, I forgot to mention that the carrot of getting this money is in the beginning very important. It's very important to convince their management to take some risks, let's say, some well-calculated risks. It's very important, but then along the trajectory, because I think an average, I think innovation procurement up to delivery, it takes 2-3 years. During the trajectory, they appreciate much more that we advise them and we assist them. And the money becomes less important. But for the management to convince, the money becomes important. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Very much, Anne. As always, very detailed in the information that you're providing. I have one question. In the program that you are having in Flanders, what is the definition of innovation? How do you select the projects that you are considering as to be classified as innovation procurements? And what is the average of the projects that you are funding per year? This is the second part of the question. What is the average of a number of projects or procurements that you are funding per year?
Okay. The second one is a more difficult one, but we're lagging behind with monitoring. But anyway, the first question: what is innovation for us? As mentioned, we skipped the whole PCP, PPI thing. It was too complex, and we just asked them in the application form. The first one is, what do you want to buy? What is the problem? What is the challenge? Blah, blah, blah. Second one is, where do you see suppliers or partial solutions that can meet the need and that cannot fully meet the need? And by doing this kind of market exploration, they have to demonstrate what is the level of innovation within the project. So we asked them to demonstrate it in the application form. And then, of course, we ourselves, we're only 6 people, so we do not have the expertise to be in all these sectors, well-informed, etc. So we get in advisors that have knowledge in each sector and are really well-informed about the state of the art in certain sectors. And they are the advisors of the applications. And they say it's a go or it's a non-go. But as soon as they see a potential on innovation, be it incremental, we can help them. Oh, closer? Okay. So that's the first, I think, answer. And then when it comes to the second question, I think the average of projects we get in every year is about 15 up to 20. When I was in the Netherlands, they said, "Oh, if we would have this approach if we would offer assistance and offer money, you would get thousands a year." But in Flanders, we only get I think we get 30, 35 applications, but only 20, let's say, a year pass, are found innovative enough and are found, impactful enough. And then when it comes to co-financing them, it takes a while. You first have to prepare them. I think it's more or less a similar number. But this being said, the average budget we have a year, it's actually only 5 million. And this year we have even, less budget, but we will find some more budget depending on whether or not public authorities are willing to invest in these bigger contracts. Because 50-50 means that the other side also has to have the capacity for the other million or for the other 5 million. So it's more or less.
And
Okay.
thank you very much. I have two takeaways from this, which is that there are multiple factors at play, none of which on their own is anything amazing. It's putting them together in the right combination that really makes a difference. So thank you very much for that lesson. And also what we've called outreach in the World Cafe. How do you reach the non-believers? So hang on to that question and we'll come back to that. Thank you very much, Anne.
I'm looking forward to have the other experiences here and to learn from them. So
Thank you.
That's